Revenge films.
My wife and I met in our early 20s, and we had a shotgun wedding. I have a 21-year-old daughter named Sarah, but she was my only child. One day, when my wife Karen wasn't home, my daughter came crying to me as she opened up about something shocking.
My boyfriend is cheating on me with Mom.
When my daughter said that to me, I couldn't wrap my head around the words for a moment, and I froze on the spot. What? Cheating? I was in disbelief as I asked her again, and my daughter pulled out her phone and showed me a certain photo. Pictured there was my wife and my daughter's boyfriend, Jonathan. There were photos of them holding hands, and even photos of them boldly kissing on the street.
My friend said that he saw it, and they sent me these photos.
How can this be? Because she gave birth to Sarah when we were still young, Karen was often mistaken for being younger than she was. That being said, to lay hands on your daughter's boyfriend was crossing the line!
It's so disgusting, and I can't forgive either of them.
My daughter said, with tears streaming down her face. And I definitely couldn't forgive the two of them for making my daughter feel this way. From there, my daughter and I discussed a lot of things, and we spoke about what was going to happen next. About 1 week after that, one day, Karen said she wanted to talk to me and called me out. And then suddenly...
I want to get a divorce.
Divorce?
It's not like I found somebody new or anything like that. It's just that I don't think that you and I were meant to be together.
Is that so? Fine. My wife probably didn't expect me to agree to the divorce so easily. So for a while, she sat there confused. But then, her expression came right back to her face.
Yeah, that's why. The separation of assets and the settlement fee that you're going to pay. I want to do it properly.
She said to me. Fine. Well then, I want you to sign this. I'd already prepared the divorce papers, and I presented them to her. Karen definitely didn't expect for me to have those in hand, so for a moment, she was shocked. But without giving her the time of day, you want to get a divorce, right? So hurry up, I said, and she picked up the pen and signed. Once she was finished, I confirmed that there were no errors in the divorce papers. Then I presented her with the invoice for the $40,000 settlement fee, the declaration that she would forfeit the separation of assets, and as the cherry on top, I garnished it with evidence of her affair. And then I saw the fear come over Karen's face.
What on earth is this?
My wife was starting to panic right in front of my eyes. What do you mean? This is evidence of you and Jonathan's affair. And this is the settlement fee and the forfeiting of the separation of assets to go with that. Sarah's already an adult, so we don't need to talk about custody anyway.
Why, how do you have this?
It's not just me. Sarah knows too. She was the one that told me about the two of you in the first place. And then, all of the blood drained from Karen's face. However, the divorce papers with her name and signature on it were already in my hands. Sarah said that she couldn't look at you as a mother anymore, and that you're disgusting. I'm sorry to say, but I feel the same way. My wife couldn't keep up with the reality facing her, and all she could say was,
What? What's going on?
She kept repeating. It seemed that Karen's original plan was to get a divorce from me and receive half of the assets, and on top of that, for some reason, she thought she was going to be receiving a settlement fee from me. But it wasn't just me. Even Sarah knew about the affair. And when my wife realized that not only was the separation of assets not happening, but that she was going to be sued for a $40,000 settlement fee, she panicked.
Oh, wait a minute. I changed my mind. I don't want to get a divorce.
Interesting. Well, that's unfortunate. I didn't think you would change your mind so quickly. But I've already received your signature on the papers, so that's not a discussion we can have anymore. I will be submitting this straight away. And of course, after this, I'll be receiving the settlement fees through a lawyer. From both of you, that is.
I told you we're not getting a divorce. That piece of paper is worthless.
My wife threw a tantrum and began to get aggressive. So I quickly called my in-laws. And after briefly explaining the situation to them, I had them come pick her up. Our house was only 10 minutes away by car from my in-laws' house. and they must have really rushed over because they flew into the house short of breath. What on earth is going on here? I thought it would be faster to show them the evidence, rather than explain it in words. So I handed over all of the incriminating photos that the detective agency had uncovered. This is the evidence that my wife has been cheating on me. What the hell are these photos? Aren't they terrifying? My wife was cheating on me with a man that was around the same age as her own daughter. And what's even more terrifying is the fact that that man was actually her daughter's boyfriend. What did you say? My wife laid hands on her daughter's boyfriend. Is that true?
Because he said that Sarah had a really firm guard up and wouldn't let him do anything. He's so young and has so much bottled up. Don't feel sorry for him. That's why I let him do me.
Are you kidding me? My father-in-law slapped my wife in the head. Do you have any idea what you've done?
That's right. I can't believe that you laid hands on your own daughter's boyfriend. What a distasteful thing to do.
I couldn't agree more. Actually, I only found out recently that my wife was cheating on me. And that was because my daughter came crying to me about it. And at that time, more than the fact that I was being cheated on, I was far more angry that she hurt my daughter like that. When they heard my words, my in-laws both looked extremely regretful. I later found out that my wife was the one that approached Jonathan in the first place. But once they crossed the physical line, they both enjoyed it a lot and were hooked on each other. And as they dragged on the relationship, my wife became serious about it. And as a result, in order to officially date her daughter's boyfriend, she decided to get a divorce. But of course, she didn't think that she would have to pay a settlement fee or sign a release of a separation of assets. And she was trying to object that if this was going to happen, she wouldn't get a divorce. My evil wife said,
But first of all, if that idiot daughter didn't make him have to wait for so long, none of this would have happened. I did this for her sake. She was crying and yelling.
When my father-in-law heard this selfish ridiculousness, his face turned bright red with anger. Do you have any idea how insane what you're saying is? Don't you dare try to justify your affair! Do you have no regrets at all? He hit her once again, but I had no will to stop him anymore. In the end, my in-laws promised me that they would accept all of my terms, and they told me that they wouldn't mind if I submitted the divorce papers immediately.
Why are you guys deciding this without my permission? I am definitely not getting a divorce.
Karen was still crying out as they dragged her into their car back to their house. After that, in order to collect the settlement fee from the boyfriend, I sent a notice straight to his company. Apparently, he was told by my stupid wife that everything would be fine because there was no way that my daughter or I would find out. When I sent an invoice for a settlement fee of a couple $1,000s through a lawyer, apparently, he went into a panic and was yelling unreasonable things at the lawyer. But for me, I didn't care about any of that anyway. No matter what, I had no intention of forgiving them for hurting my daughter and making her cry. Even a guy like that, my daughter must have liked. They said that she had a firm guard, but I think she's far more put together than a cheap whore who lets anybody have it like my wife. And I made sure that he paid the price for hurting my daughter like that. Now that Jonathan's company knew about the affair, the rumors instantly spread throughout the office. He quickly became the #1 enemy of all the female employees. And even the male employees were saying, I can't believe he put his hands on his girlfriend's mom! That's unbelievable! Everybody drew a line and shunned him. And because it started to damage the company's reputation, in the end, he was sent to the storage room under the guise of a department transfer. According to my daughter, once you get sent there, there was no chance for any promotion ever in the future. And it was basically like being locked in a tiny room until you resign from the company by yourself. He gets what he deserves. As for my ex-wife, after the divorce, in order to pay back the settlement fee to me, apparently, she was sent out to a farm that was run by a relative, and she would have to work there until she could pay back her debt. My ex-mother-in-law is also working there, so there's no way she can escape. She has to start work at 4 in the morning, and I heard that she's working in the storage room even after the sun sets. That being said, the salary isn't very high, so in order to pay back the settlement fee that her parents fronted for her, it was probably going to take her a number of years. My wife hated this kind of work, getting burnt under the sun, being in a field with many bugs, so I think it was a good punishment for her. After all of that, I was overwhelmingly worried about the trauma that my daughter went through. But 1 year later, she met a young man that would heal all of her scars, and Sarah was able to get her smile back and live a happy life. I couldn't believe that my daughter and I would be cheated on at the same time by the same people. But just seeing my daughter smile again, I felt like everything was going to be fine.
How was today's video? If you enjoyed it, please subscribe, like, and leave a comment. Stay tuned for more.